Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Was that everyone was trying to copy Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley kind of is almost a metaphor. You know, they wanted to copy the successes. How do you get kind of, startups to work with one another and create this collaborative environment? And we were reading all these papers about, oh, you have to collaborate, you have to take risk, you've got to break down social and professional hierarchies. And we actually got tired of reading this stuff because we go, we get that. The question is how do you do it? And why hasn't anyone been successful at doing that? The Valley's been around a long time, and yet no one's really been as successful at the Valley. Why do they continue to generate their own oxygen up there? And I tend to be a very visual person, and so we came up with this metaphor of the rainforest by saying the why it's been so hard to build Silicon Valley is because the models, pretty much all business models that we've created, are based on industrial paradigms, which came from a lot of the agrarian paradigms. But what they were is they were all based around notions of scarcity, that you only had so much stuff. And it was all about how well you allocated that stuff, whether it was talent, whether it was land, whether it was actually capital. And they looked a lot like plantations. We said, so if you look at a plantation, everything's are in nice little rows. And all of your knowledge goes towards engineering of process so that you drive productivity, efficiency, all the things that we value. You don't want to waste anything. Waste is bad because waste comes right off the bottom line of your business. On the opposite side, when you have knowledge businesses, Googles of the world, Facebooks of the world, they're so knowledge-based. In the first model, everything's based on scarcity and zero-sum game. On the other models, these knowledge models, you actually want to, it's not so much you want to waste knowledge, but you want to get as much knowledge combining as you can. And the best way to explain this is, if you've got an apple and I've got an orange and we exchange them, then I've got an orange and you've got an apple, and this net sum is still the same. But if I've got an idea and you have an idea and we share those ideas, now we each have 2 ideas. And the more people you add and the more ideas you add, that just combines. And so there was a professor at Oxford, Matt Ridley, who wrote a very cool book called The Rational Optimist. And he said, innovation is all about ideas having sex. And you have to promote promiscuity. And so that's what we really kind of saw, and that's why we called them Rainforest. You've got to build kind of these systems. Rather than engineering of process, you got to engineer environments. And you don't try to over-manipulate them. Because in the first model, if weeds grow up in your cornfield, you pull them out because they're not corn. They're not what you want. But the weeds are the Googles. And that was one of the case studies we looked at. And when we talked to the people up in the Valley, every single venture capital firm passed on Google the first time around. In fact, the head of technology transfer at Stanford, Kathy Koo, every year she has her technology licensing officers write down what they think is going to be the next hot technology based on what's coming through Stanford. In 27 years, they have never gotten it right. They never picked Yahoo, Sun Microsystems, Google. In fact, she said that Larry and Sergey were really, really odd, and they kept crashing the servers. So they just found them kind of annoying more than anything. And so very often the things that look great, you just don't know it at the time. Did anyone think 13 months ago that Instagram was the hottest new company and would sell for $1 billion with 10 employees? No. And so in the first model, you're always trying to pick the winners. And what we've learned in the space is that that's nearly impossible to do. The best you can do is create a supportive environment, and then when those high flyers do come out, that you can put resources around them and support them and nurture them and give them the pathway that you can. So that's why we talk about the rainforest this way.